Hey guys and gals, this is Real Appalachia with Shane
and Melody.
And today we're starting a new little thing we talked about a little bit on my history video if you watched that. And Melody and I have been tabbed to write a book called Legends and Lore of Southwest Virginia.
I'm so excited.
Very excited.
Yes.
So as the name indicates, we'll be talking a little bit about folklore, legends, interesting stories from around Virginia. But in this particular series we're doing on video-wise, we're not limiting it to Virginia. Of course, it'll be West Virginia, anything in Appalachia.
Yeah.
Kentucky, you name it.
Yeah. And we might cover some things that Shane's already covered in his book, Legends of Lore of East Tennessee. So we're going to kind of be giving you guys a little peek of what's to come and also what's been done and maybe what's to come later on in the future too if we do more books. So.
Yes, it's great. So if you like this kind of thing, like this video, and subscribe, and we'd love to hear from you about that, and we'll get started on that note.
Yes. So in our first episode here, we are going to be talking about the Flatwoods Monster. And I hadn't heard anything really at all about Flatwoods Monster until we took a trip to Point Pleasant. And I can't believe that I've lived 29 years and not heard about the Flatwoods Monster, especially since I love that kind of thing. So, have you heard a lot about it, or already? Do you know kind of the gist, or all the stories, or?
I will say I know all the stories. I know the general concept. I wasn't as familiar, same as you. I knew some about it.
Yeah.
I knew it kind of, sort of related to the Mothman, but not really.
Yeah, not really. So, it was close to Point Pleasant. It was Flatwoods, West Virginia. On September 12th, 1952, these two brothers, the May boys, they were playing and they had a friend or two with them, and they see this red light go across and kind of crash on a hillside. So they thought that they needed to go and check out what it was, and they stopped along the way to pick up their mother, Kathleen May. So, she felt too that it needed to be investigated, whatever this crash was. So, she stopped and got a neighbor boy, which was named Eugene Lemon. He was a 17-year-old National Guardsman, and him and his dog come along. So, this group of 4 young boys, National Guardsmen, and Kathleen May, their mother of the 2 boys, they went along to the crash. As they got there, it kind of gotten dark by that point. Eugene had a flashlight and he was shining it around, and he had landed on this figure that was hovering over the ground. It had a spade-shaped head. It had a blaring red bloody face, glowing orange eyes. It had twisted claw-like hands and a green body, and what looked like a metal dress type thing on. It also had this sickening mist around it, and the people and the dog actually were sick for days after this incident. It was really wild. Even
from
the dog.
Smell, or?
Yeah, it was like this smell, and it was kind of compared to mustard gas. Ooh. Even the effects was compared to mustard gas, which was very weird.
Well, it's funny, in our travels too, we saw a lot of, in Nitro they made the military stuff, Agent Orange, and it's like, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in that part of West Virginia.
Yeah, it's really weird. So this creature was also about 10 feet tall, and it come towards them, but like gliding really fast and hissing, making a loud hissing noise at them. And actually, one of the boys even used the bathroom on himself. He was so terrified. So they go running to the police and they tell them their story, and it was just kind of laughed off as a joke. But it was just 5 miles north, a few days before that, a couple of women had a similar experience. They had seen the same kind of creature. And then the next night, the day after, 20 miles south, there was a young couple out driving, and they were on this dirt road, and their car just mysteriously stopped, and he couldn't get it started back. Then they see the same kind of figure hover over the hood of their car with the same kind of mist that filled the car. They also got sick. It had the twisted claw-like hands that they described as being like reptile-like. And this time the spade shape wasn't on there, so I guess with talking they felt like that spade shape was actually a hood of whatever outfit it was wearing. And it actually hissed at them, scraped its reptile-like hand across the hood of their car, and then hovered away just as it had hovered towards the group just the day before.
It's wild.
Yeah. So there were only 3 incidences of this Flatwoods Monster.
So what did they think it was?
The common feeling is that it was an alien, and that the red light that they saw crash on the hillside was actually a UFO crashing. So I'm not really an alien believer myself, but it's like, I don't know, what other kind of creature could it be? What's your take on this story?
Well, and when I read it too, because we talked about it in a history video a few weeks back, that they act like they solved it, and it was like some owl.
Yeah, so that's one thing that's kind of explained away, is that it was a giant owl, but three different groups of people. Well, a couple of women friends and a couple, and then this one group, the most popular story, they all said it was 10 feet tall. I've never seen an owl be 10 feet tall, and it didn't have wings. They all described it as having claws.
And
so
spade shape, that doesn't, to me, I don't...
No. I mean, but I also read some things that were talking about, this was the 50s. Everyone was kind of like in a panic over the Cold War kind of thing, like threats from other countries, and they were kind of scared, and that maybe that this was all kind of exaggerated in everybody's minds. But it is kind of weird that 3 different
I think what really hooked me was the National Guardsman too. That's not a person who hasn't trained to be aware of that kind of thing, and you'd think if anybody would try to downplay it, it's kind of embarrassing to associate. I mean, really, can you imagine being out there and say, "Oh, I saw this monster"? I'm like, "Oh,"
and everybody did laugh it off and act like they were crazy, but Kathleen actually lived a pretty good, full, long life. I believe she was in her 80s or maybe even early 90s when she passed away, and she maintained her story her whole life and got out and talked about it and didn't seem like was ashamed. And I'm thinking that she was some kind of, I could be wrong with this, but thinking she was like a county clerk or something like that. Like, she had a good respectable job too. So she didn't really seem like the type of person that would kind of rattle off nonsense.
Yeah, because when I first read about it, kids, your mind plays tricks on you, and even mine does when I'm by myself. That's another thing too. It's like if somebody saw it by himself, okay, I question it because we all do that. You see these things, shadow people or whatever, and it may or may not be there. But when you really get a group of people, they all describe it the same way. The smell, how do you explain that? So it's kind of hard to explain, and we would love to hear your ideas in the comments. So you tell us your ideas about this. But I don't know, with the National Guardsman, you could argue too, he was only 17 years old. So even though he seemed like a very respectable young boy, he was still just kind of a young boy. And sometimes people can talk you into things.
That's true too.
You come looking, you find what you were looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I don't know what I believe about aliens either. I don't know.
Yeah, and a lot of people do believe in aliens, and surrounding the Mothman, with it being so close by. I mean, this was about 15 years previous, but there was a lot of UFO sightings and incidents around the Mothman too, and there's a lot of theories that he was an alien. So there's some talk on the internet and theories that there was just a lot of alien activity around that area for some reason.
Well, and I think too, that sometimes the government doesn't squash these things because, well, maybe it was some kind of military operation.
Exactly.
You know, remember jetpacks and stuff. I didn't even think that was a legitimate thing. And then you see these people flying around with those things. Well, maybe it was some kind of experiment that they would love you to think it's a UFO or something when it's really something else that they. Yeah. And I don't trust the government. I trust a 17-year-old National Guardsman more than I do the government.
Exactly.
Maybe that's just me, but
no, that's me too. So we don't know, and maybe nobody ever really will know the truth, but it's something cool to talk about.
I've said this before in a lot of my videos. I like not knowing some things. It's kind of cool to me, the mystery of it, and I want to be a believer. I don't like when something dispels it. That's why I kind of rejected the whole owl thing, because it's just too simple. Yeah,
I don't believe the owl thing, but I don't. With this one, I usually can form an opinion about something based on my own beliefs, but with this, I just don't know. And with no more sightings than that, it's kind of hard to grasp onto an opinion. But yeah, so we would love to hear yours, so definitely comment and let us know what you think. Like you said, if you like this kind of thing, give us a thumbs up. The Flatwoods Monster is still kind of widely disbelieved, but it's something that they kind of embrace in Flatwoods, West Virginia, and they actually even have a festival. Yeah. They have some signs out, home of the Green Monster, home of the Flatwoods Monster. So
yeah, I kind of like when people embrace it too. It's like, why run from it when it's kind of a cool, neat thing? It didn't do any harm that we know of.
Yeah.
And so
so maybe we will have to take a trip up there and check that out. And if that's something you guys would like, tell us about that too.
I'm anxious to get your opinion on Mothman, but that's a story for another day.
That is another story for another day.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.